There's one phrase that's killing executive careers faster than poor performance or missed targets. It's the automatic yes we give stakeholders when they ask for something. That immediate agreement feels like good leadership in the moment, but it's actually destroying your credibility and stalling promotions. The truth is, overpromising doesn't make you look capable, it guarantees you'll underdeliver, and that broken trust costs more than any single project failure ever could. If you're new here, please subscribe and like, because I share tips to help you improve your career. We fall into this trap because saying yes feels easier than having difficult conversations about constraints and limitations. In that moment when a stakeholder makes a request, there's immense pressure to appear competent and accommodating. We convince ourselves that immediate agreement demonstrates leadership strength and can-do attitude. But this is fundamentally flawed thinking. True leadership isn't about pleasing people in the moment, it's about delivering real results over time. The short-term relief of avoiding an uncomfortable conversation comes at enormous long-term cost. Every time you promise something you can't realistically deliver, you're making a withdrawal from your credibility bank account. Stakeholders might smile in the meeting when you say yes, but they remember forever when you miss deadlines or deliver subpar results. That eroded trust becomes nearly impossible to rebuild because it shifts how people perceive your judgment and reliability. What's particularly damaging is how stakeholders actually interpret overpromising. They don't think this executive is so agreeable and helpful. They think this person either doesn't understand what's actually required, or they are not being truthful about capabilities. It creates doubt about your strategic thinking and your understanding of the organization's real constraints. This perception problem then extends beyond individual projects. It affects how stakeholders view your overall judgment on everything from resource allocation to strategic planning. The most successful executives understand that trust isn't built through enthusiastic agreement. It's built through consistent delivery against realistic commitments. When you consistently meet or exceed expectations that were properly set from the beginning, you establish yourself as someone whose word actually means something. This reliability becomes your professional currency, opening doors to greater responsibility and more significant leadership roles. The fundamental shift required is moving from being an order taker to becoming an expert advisor. Instead of automatically saying yes to requests, your role becomes helping stakeholders understand what's actually possible given real-world constraints. This doesn't mean becoming the no person, it means becoming the here's how we can make this work realistically person. The most powerful phrase in your arsenal becomes here's what's actually possible. This simple reframe changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. You're not rejecting the request. You're providing expert guidance on how to achieve the desired outcome within existing constraints. This positions you as a strategic partner rather than an implementer, which is exactly where you want to be as an executive. Before making any commitment, you need to ask 3 critical questions. First, what's the actual business need behind this request? Often stakeholders ask for specific solutions without explaining the underlying problem. Understanding the real need allows you to propose better alternatives they might not have considered. Second, what are the non-negotiable constraints we're working within? This includes budget, timeline, resources, and competing priorities. Third, what would good enough look like versus perfect? Many requests assume perfection is required when 80% of the value might be achievable with 20% of the effort. Learning to push back professionally without saying no is a crucial skill. Instead of "we can't do that," try to make that happen. We would need X additional resources or Y extended timeline. This approach focuses on requirements rather than limitations. Another effective technique is if we prioritize this, what should we deprioritize from our current commitments? This helps stakeholders understand the opportunity cost of new requests. Creating buffer room for unexpected challenges is non-negotiable for maintaining credibility. The most experienced executives build contingency into every commitment because they know that in complex organizations, things rarely go exactly according to plan. A good rule of thumb is adding 20 to 30% buffer to initial timeline estimates, especially for projects involving multiple teams or external dependencies. Building credibility through realistic timelines might feel like you're moving slower initially, but it actually accelerates your career progression in the long run. When you consistently deliver what you promise, stakeholders develop confidence in your judgment. This confidence translates into greater autonomy, more significant responsibilities, and ultimately faster advancement. The executives who move up quickest aren't the ones who make the biggest promises. They are the ones who most reliably deliver on their commitments. This strategic shift requires changing how you measure your own success in stakeholder interactions. Instead of measuring whether the stakeholder seemed happy immediately after the meeting, measure whether you provided realistic guidance that will lead to successful outcomes. The temporary discomfort of setting proper expectations is always preferable to the lasting damage of missing commitments that should never have been made in the first place. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe and like because it helps us create content that matters to you. Also, if you want to take your skills further, check out our executive education and executive coaching programs at execbeat.com. Let's break down exactly how to implement this strategic shift using a 5-step framework that transforms how you manage stakeholder expectations. This isn't about saying no, it's about creating better outcomes through structured dialogue. Step 1 is always to acknowledge the request and validate the underlying need. When a stakeholder approaches you with a request, start by saying, "I understand why this is important," or "that's a valuable objective." This establishes that you're aligned with their goals and not simply being obstructionist. Validation builds psychological safety and makes them more receptive to the reality check that might follow. Step 2 involves providing context about actual constraints and realities. This is where you share relevant information they might not have considered, given our current team capacity of X people working on Y priority projects. Here's what we're realistically working with. Or based on similar initiatives we've run, the typical timeline for something this complex is 12 to 16 weeks rather than the 8 weeks you mentioned. The key is presenting facts rather than opinions. This makes the constraints feel objective rather than personal. Step 3 is offering multiple strategic options with clear trade-offs. Instead of a simple yes or no, present alternatives. Option A would deliver the full request in 3 months with additional budget. Option B could deliver 80% of the value in 6 weeks using existing resources. Option C would mean deprioritizing Project X to focus on this. This approach transforms the conversation from debate to collaborative problem-solving. Step 4 involves co-creating the solution with stakeholder input. Ask questions like, which of these options best aligns with your most critical needs? Or what aspects are absolutely essential versus nice to have? This collaborative approach ensures buy-in and makes the stakeholder feel like they're part of the solution rather than being told what's possible. Step 5 is absolutely critical. Document and align on clear success metrics. Before ending the conversation, explicitly state, "So just to confirm, we're agreeing that success looks like delivering X by Y date, with Z quality standards, and these are the resources we'll need." This documentation prevents scope creep and ensures everyone leaves with the same understanding. Send a brief follow-up email summarizing the agreement. This creates accountability and prevents misunderstandings later. Here's a real-world example of this framework in action. A marketing director asked for a complete website redesign in 4 weeks before a major product launch. Instead of saying yes and failing, the response was, "I understand the urgency of having the site ready for launch. Based on our current web team's workload and the complexity of a full redesign, that timeline would require pulling resources from 3 other critical projects. Here are our options. We could deliver a simplified version focusing only on the new product pages in 4 weeks, delay the launch by 2 weeks to do the full redesign properly, or approve contractor support to meet the deadline. Which approach best serves our launch objectives? This led to a productive discussion about priorities rather than a failed commitment. When stakeholders demand the impossible, your most powerful tool is data. Instead of arguing about feasibility, present historical data from similar projects. The last 3 initiatives of this scale took an average of 90 days with full resourcing. Here's the data showing why that timeline is necessary. Data anchors the conversation in reality rather than opinion. Master the art of the qualified yes with clear conditions. This sounds like yes, we can deliver that, provided we get approval for 2 additional contractors and extend the timeline by 3 weeks. The conditions make the commitment realistic while still showing willingness to solve the problem. When facing pressure from senior leadership, focus on enterprise-level impact rather than departmental constraints. Frame the discussion around what's best for the entire organization. While we could accelerate this project, doing so would impact Q3 revenue projections by diverting resources from the sales initiative you approved last month. Would you like me to help you weigh these trade-offs? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like, because it helps us bring you more free videos. And if you're ready to grow your career, visit execbeat.com to learn about our executive education and coaching.